Welcome back, everyone, to Anonymous Addiction Deprogramming Everything podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about step four. Hmm, step four. What is it? Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Don't forget, later I'm going to be talking about we should be making a uh, searching and fearless inventory of Alcoholics Anonymous, of any society. I don't care if it's the government, Hollywood, media, court system, blah, 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 you name it, religion. Yeah, make an inventory of that. Judge it. Have discernment about it. Let's get back into it. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. I'm going to be talking about the big book, in the big book first. Okay. 1939. Yeah. Bill and Bob met, what, in 34? They had no books, no nothing, no steps. They didn't even have a name, and they chose to get sober. They wanted to get sober. They chose it, you know. But Bill made up this, he had this belladonna experience in Towns Hospital, and he had the white light experience, and everything is taken from the Oxford group. This whole program, Alcoholics Anonymous, is a religion. It's a cult religion. I was in it over 30 years. Okay. I was in the cult, the religion of Alcoholics Anonymous, not realizing in the beginning how I just left one religion for another. My mom indoctrinated me. Well, she didn't indoctrinate me. She passed on Catholicism to me. I was raised a Catholic. I was born without a religion. I raised a Catholic. So in the step book, written in 1939, it talks about spiritual disease, mental and physical illness, spiritually sick, spirituality. We have a spiritual malady disease. Talks about our self-esteem, our security, our ambitions, our personal and sexual relationships. This talks about every human being's emotion. The seven deadly sins, we're going to get into that because it was mentioned 17 years later when I talk about the step book. 17 years later, it talks about the seven deadly sins in there, which we all have. They're not deadly sins. They're just emotions that we get because we're programmed. We're programmed with it. The big book. The insanity of alcohol returns and we drink again. And with us, to drink is to die. And we have to be, it says it right here, to drink is to die. And we have to be free of anger. Here, look. The seven deadly sins mentioned 17 years later in the step book. Greed, lust, anger, gluttony, envy, and sloth. I still have them all today. Various degrees. They come and go. I know how to maneuver with them. I know how to feel them and let them go. You know, I have discernment. I can observe, become the observer and observe my emotions and feelings through time, through self-inquiry, self-perseverance, self-determination, self-motivation, higher self, higher vibration. So they expect someone to come in out of a detox, maybe young people, because there's a lot of young people that go to these young meetings, a lot of young people. I don't care if you're young, middle aged, old, come out of a detox, rehab, 30 days, 60 day, 90 days, coming out of a sober living, halfway house. You go in Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, any 12-step modality. You know, now this applies to atheists and agnostic. They think they get away with this when they're worshiping AA. AA is their God. So just replace the word God with AA because when they say God, they mean AA. Okay. We found it to be fatal. To drink again is to die. So we turn back to the list. We must turn back to the list. Okay. And this is the list that they give us examples. It's four things. Four things. Mr. Brown, Mrs. Jones, my employee, and my wife. Three examples in 164 pages. This is our cognitive behavioral therapy. These are the tools and strategies that Alcoholics Anonymous, their tools and strategies is one tool is to hijack your identity, make you believe you're powerless, get you to turn your will and your life over to care of God, and confess and make amends and be a lifelong servant to Alcoholics Anonymous, recruiting others for life. Step 4 is a process of confession to make amends. It's like communion. Oh my God, I'm heartily sorry for having offended thee, and I detest all my sins because I dread the loss of heaven and the pains of hell. I still know that from childhood. That's how strong the indoctrination is. That's how strong subliminal osmosis repetition indoctrination brainwashing is. So people think they're going to do make a list of their defects. Step 5, we're going to do step 5 next. But step 5, you go to your sponsor because it mentions sponsor in here over and over again. You're going to go to your sponsor and you're going to tell the sponsor all these things. And if you go back out and drink, guess what? You didn't do a thorough house cleaning. Mm-hmm. Yep. And how do they know that? People go to therapy for years and years and years, and they still try to bring the subconscious up to the conscious. They still try to rewire because if you listen to Bruce Lipton or Joe Dispenza, it's true that we can rewire our brains. Okay. Not our brain, but our mind. The brain is material, the mind is outside. It's the conscious, unconscious, subconscious. 90 something percent is subconscious. It's automatic. We're running on programs that we've been programmed at birth, age 1 to 7, and then constantly programming. That's why Alcoholics Anonymous is called a program. Okay, so in the big book, you got four things. You got 4 examples. Yeah, it says these are some of examples. We have self-esteem, our security, our ambitions, our personal and sexual relationships, life which includes deep resentment. We found that that is fatal. And with it, to drink is to die. Resentment is fatal. I still resent. And if you're not angry at what's going on in the world today, something's wrong. Anger is a good thing, not a bad thing. Our emotions are good things. They talk about the greed. I'm not. Greed steps in. We have to look at are we greedy or not. But greed is different than wanting to accomplish and be successful and make more money. Lust, that creeps in every once in a while. Come on. I'm a human being, being human. I'm a male. I don't know if it's lust or just, I'm an old man, but damn, I don't have lust, I don't think, but maybe I do. I don't know. Anger. I still get angry. At what degree is it going to get me locked up? I got to keep it in check. I got to keep my anger in check. Yeah, I got to keep my emotions in check. I've got to become aware of the higher self, the higher vibration. I got to become aware of myself. envy, anger, every newcomer. Come on, you're kidding me. They call them newcomers. Every person, every human being human. Everybody knows I like my citrus. This is sparkling water, a little bit of orange juice, a little bit of grape, uh, cranberry, lemon, lime. That's my little drink. It's a lifetime practice. Yeah, it's the beginning of a lifetime. It's a lifetime confession, a lifetime making amends. The 10th step, continue to take personal inventory. When we were wrong, promptly admit it. Hmm. We receive our conducts over the years. Let's see. Let's go on with this here. Pray for the right idea. It's all about praying. It's all about A, B, and C. C, God couldn't. What if he were saw it? We think of the, look, we think of their needs and work for them. If sex is very troublesome, we throw ourselves the harder into helping others. We think of their needs and to work for them. In other words, just escape. It's Alcoholics Anonymous is an escape to freedom and true shadow work. It's an escape. It's an addiction to a savior complex because we're not responsible. They take the responsibility away when we make a decision to give our will and our life over to care of AA. We're giving them the responsibility. We have a disease. We're victims. We give the responsibility over to God, and only God can take this away. Honest desire to let God take us to a better thing. Pray for the right thing. We think of their needs. This takes us out of ourselves. It's all about taking, yeah, it hijacks the self. It hijacks the higher self, the self. For us, what we could not do for ourselves, we hope you are convinced now that God can remove whatever self will has blocked you off from Him. Him, He, Him. Remember 1939? Here's when you're taking an inventory, man, it doesn't matter. I don't care what you do. If you were, like if you were sexually abused, traumatized, physically, mentally, sexually abused, look, putting out the minds, the wrongs others had done us. Forget that. Forget, you can't have any anger or hatred or resentment or any type of emotion towards your predator. And you're going to be coming in Alcoholics Anonymous and watch out for the 13 step predators in there coming, who knows where they're coming from because the courts just allow anybody in. They'll send anybody there. They putting out our minds the wrongs others. Where had we been selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, and frightened? Though a situation had not been entirely our fault, we tried to disregard the other person involved entirely. Wow. Though a situation had not been entirely our fault, we tried to discard the other person's involvement. I have to say it twice because it's sick. Okay? Where were we to blame? The inventory was ours, not the other man's. Everything's man, him, he. I don't know how women in Alcoholics Anonymous through all these years, 91 years of this religious cult abuse shit. And the women tolerated this stuff sitting in the meetings saying nothing, just raising your hand saying, I'm alcoholic, I'm diseased, I'm powerless, not questioning. Think, question, observe, become aware, and take Alcoholics Anonymous's inventory. Yes, that's reprogramming. We're going from deprogramming to reprogramming. And on this step, reprogramming is made a searching and fearless moral inventory of Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, and the 12-step modality, and any other. You know, I'm all about deprogramming everything. I don't care if you're in Scientology or what other culture in any other religion. It's just religion is a control mechanism, period. So it may take you years into therapy. It may take years, 5, 10. There's people that have been going to therapy for 20 years and haven't really accomplished. All they're doing is paying money, trying to get the subconscious up to the conscious, becoming aware. You'll get more information out of a bunch of Bruce Lipton's YouTubes than you will out of any of these books. You're talking 164 pages. And step 4, you're only talking about 3 pages in the big book and like 5 pages in the step book. We review our conduct over the years past. Where have we been selfish, dishonest? We all have sex problems. We did not want to be the arbiter of everybody's sex conduct, but we all have sex problems. No, no, we don't. Some people don't. We all lump. What they do is they lump every imaginable emotional feeling that all human beings, I'm Bobby C., I'm a human being human. They'll say, Bobby, you haven't cleaned house. You haven't worked all the steps properly. That's why you're still angry. You still have resentments. Why are you bashing the m- members? I don't even mention members, but members comment, some good, some bad, some in between. Some really say some nasty things, but you know what? That's okay. I'm not bashing members. I used to be a member. It's the society, the indoctrination of the pyramid. Up top is the minority. That's all the trustees. They're control the pyramid. Down here is the majority of the memberships that are blind. It's just like the Masonic lodges. Down here, you're not up there at the 33rd. 30, how many do they have? 33rd. That's the secret layers, levels. The minority controls, not the majority. The minority controls the agenda. Yeah, honest desire to let God take us, pray for us. We have begun to learn tolerance, patience, and goodwill towards all men, even our enemies, for we look at them as sick people. What? Look at them as sick people. Yeah, they are sick. There's a lot of psychopaths. There's a lot of pedophiles, psychopaths. There's a lot of bad, bad people out there. Evil exists. Yes, it does. I realize that. 17 years later. So it's robbing us of ourself. We're giving credit to Alcoholics Anonymous. We're not responsible anymore. They're the savior. They're the solution. They're the way. No, we are the way. We are the solution. We are the Buddha, the cure. It comes from the self, it comes from our self. People just give credit to Alcoholics Anonymous. Alcoholics Anonymous takes credit for for you doing it. Alcoholics Anonymous is a placebo. Most everything is just a placebo effect. Look it up. Look it up and study the mind. Study the conscious, unconscious, subconscious. Study shadow work. Learn about true shadow work. Okay, so 17 years later, I covered up because I'm embarrassed. I was always embarrassed. Whoever wanted to be called an alcoholic, not me. Go around I'm an alcoholic. No, I help people if they needed help. If somebody came to me and needed some help, I'd help them. I sponsored maybe two, three people. I had friends. People call me. Still today, I have friends in Alcoholics Anonymous. I have a buddy Snooky. If he's listening to this, he still goes to Alcoholics Anonymous. He calls me every once in a while. We talk. We don't. He knows I have do these podcasts. We don't talk about. We talk about life. If you want to think of me as I'm a friend. I could be a life coach at any time. I have 41 years studying behavioral health and life, observational experience, wisdom, knowledge from all different aspects of metaphysics, epigenetics. I don't care what it is. I talk to them. He might think I'm a sponsor. He might let. I don't consider myself a sponsor. I have another friend. I'll say hi to Jordan. Jordan is probably going to be listening to him. I ain't going to tell you where he's at or anything, but he listens. He calls. He calls me once a week as a friend, as somebody that has some experience, maybe more. I could have some less about a lot of different things. He does many things that I can't do. So he could teach me a bunch of things. One of my great friends, my first friend, you could call him a sponsor that took me to my first AA meeting. I'm still friends with him. He's very sick now. He had two brain bleeds and he's having a little trouble. I know he's going to get out of it. Lonnie, you're going to come out of it. I know it. He still goes to Alcoholics Anonymous. He knows I do podcasts like this. 17 years later, they write this book. Remember, in the beginning, they had no book, no name, no nothing. Then they write the big book, 1939. 17 years later, they write the step book. You know, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of self. They put in the seven deadly sins here. They talk about grandiose. They talk about depression in here. Temporarily, we are on the depressive side, swamped with guilt and self-loathing. Hell yeah. We first come into Alcoholics Anonymous. I was guilty of a bunch of shit. Okay. Yeah, I felt guilty, but there's good guilt and there's bad guilt. There's self-imposed guilt. Alcoholics Anonymous is shame, guilt, fear-based, the bad type. There's good guilt. If I feel guilty about some things I do, nothing wrong with that. They talk about depressive, righteousness, grandiosity, character defects. Then in one page, they mention sponsored like six times. Our sponsor comes to the rescue. Yeah. 6 months sponsoring a new person in a guy with year, a guy with 5 years, a guy with 10 years. If they don't know, if they haven't experienced anything other than Alcoholics Anonymous, what the hell do you think they know about life? If they're in a religion, if they're religious anyhow, if they belong to a church, a Christian, Catholic, Protestant, I don't care, Methodist, I don't care where, they're already indoctrinated, so they fit right in to Alcoholics Anonymous. They fit right in, no problem. And if that's what they choose, that's fine. But they're the ones that are going to indoctrinate you. That's where you're going to get your information about life from them. That's where you're going to get your wisdom, your, you know, your information about the world view from your sponsor. The sponsor probably points out after the newcomer has, as soon as he begins to see more objective, the newcomer can fearlessly rather than fearfully look at his defects. The sponsor, the newcomer. So they come up with the seven deadly sins in page 48. Every newcomer, like these people coming in, some of them are 10 times smarter than their sponsor. Okay. And they're going to take them through the steps, the 12 steps to have a spiritual awakening. When little do they know they had many, many spiritual awakenings all along. These people, some people are brilliant and and they 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 lower themselves, they humiliate themselves, putting themselves down and putting these people on a pedestal when they are. I've met people in Alcoholics Anonymous because I talk to people. I used to talk to people before meetings and after meetings. Just talk to them, and they're smart. These people are smart, okay, and they become victims in the beginning because they're so scared. They've been put there by some court ordered, some detox, some by parents, some by, yeah, a lot of them got in a big trouble. They came in Alcoholics Anonymous. They want some relief, you know, and their sponsor is going to take them through this lifetime practice and talk about their character defects, the seven deadly sins, character defects, financial, emotional security, money problems. We all have this stuff. Emotional insecurity. Look, the most common symptoms of emotional insecurity. Now, listen, worry. Who doesn't worry once in a while? Anger. Who doesn't get angry once in a while? Self pity. These are depression. Now, they mention depression a lot in here, and I don't, they have no clue what pure, real depression is, but they mention it. Looking at the both past and present with sex situations have caused us anxiety, bitterness, frustration, depression. He mentioned it again, depression. Can I see where I have been at fault? Now, this is 17 years later, and they're still getting it deeper, deeper to it's all about you, what you did. You're the bad guy. You're the bad person. You're the bad person with these sins and defects of character. We all have it. They want us to think that Alcoholics Anonymous, these people are they have this so much greater wisdom. Egomania digs too disastrous pitfalls, twisted relationships with family, friends, and society at large. Listen to this here. We have been especially, this is in here. Don't think this is in here. We have been especially stupid and stubborn about these relationships. Stupid and stubborn. Totally inability to form a true partnership with another human being. You know what? Some of us are, they call it antisocial. Some of us don't like communities and don't like a lot of people around them, or really don't like a lot of people around them. They like to be more alone. There's nothing wrong with being alone. See, they want you to, everything is about group think. Everything in this, you got to join a church. You got to join this. You got to join a church. You got to join that, be part of this, be part of the community, be part of everything. It's nice being alone, not having a lot of friends. There's an advantage to it. Okay. I was a hypocrite in Alcoholics Anonymous because I've never really felt like I fit in. I never did. I was a liar, okay, and a hypocrite. If I want to be honest about my dishonesty, you know, how honest, open-minded, and willingness. How honest and open-minded and willing are Alcoholics Anonymous members willing to go outside of the triangle and check other things out? Hmm? I'm hurting other people. I can't make anybody drink. I can't make anybody use drugs or anybody do anything. I don't have that power. You do. If it's meant to be, it's up to me and it's free. You have the power. Hmm. I am the way, not AA. As Bobby C sees it, not as Bill sees it. It's as you see it, not as I see it. Let's see what else. The twisted relationships. This is 17 years later. Then listen to this. This is crazy. Okay. Listen to this. Stay with me for another minute or two. Please, please subscribe. Please subscribe. I'm asking for more subscribers. Plain language big book. 91 years later written. I mean, they wrote hundreds of pamphlets and books and little booklets, CDs and tapes and everything before that, but they haven't changed nothing. 91 years later, and here's still the same four examples of their I am resentful at Mr. Brown. My reason for feeling this way, he pays attention to my wife and flirts with her. These feelings upset, they impact my sex life and my self-esteem. Four examples. Because you know why? They don't need a lot of examples. They don't need any tools, strategies, any type of cognitive behavioral therapy, no rational, logical, no, because it's a placebo effect. The only way is step 6 and 7, right? Is, this is step 4. 5, you're going to talk to your sponsor. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects. 6, 7, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. That's the only way. A, B, and C. God couldn't. What if he was saw it? Placebo effect. It's you, not them. And atheists and agnostics think that because they don't believe in God, but they make AA their higher power. So they believe that AA can relieve and remove their shortcomings. Yeah, they worship AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, any of the 12-step modalities. OA, I don't care if it's MA, NACA, blah, blah, blah. There's like 20 of them. I did a podcast on them. But the surrendering of ourself and all our responsibility to God, AA, sponsor, called a priest. I could do a podcast. I did a podcast. Sponsors are priests. Everything is in relationship to a religion, Catholic religion, really, because Matt Talbert, they copied all this from the Oxford group, right? So the emission of we do our confessions, we do our amends, then we get to the servitude, helping others. We become a lifelong recruiting agent to help others because the only way out of self is to help others. We're helping AA grow, helping others become a servant to Alcoholics Anonymous. Servitude, you know, continue to take personal inventory when wrong, promptly admit it. And if you go out, oh, the excuses we could come up with, oh, you didn't do step 4, you didn't do, go back to step 1. You didn't get a sponsor. You didn't turn it over. Whatever. When the fact of the matter is the person that just wanted to go out and use and drink and do some more whatever they were doing to relieve some of their pain. Because Alcoholics Anonymous wasn't giving them any solutions. That's for damn sure. And they didn't buy the God stuff. And they kind of figured it out pretty quick, you know. So make sure you check out all the other types of methods, modalities, and it's all free. There's so much free stuff out there. And if you decide to get a coach, that's fine. I'm not I'm going to start thinking the other way. If you decide to get a coach or a life coach or a sobriety coach or whatever coach, I think I'm going to have one pretty soon, maybe next week. Ben's going to come on hopefully with and tell us a lot about logic recovery. He's a cool guy. He sounds cool, man. Check him out on TikTok. Logic recovery. I think Renee over there on Unconquered Healing. I love him. He said he's going to come back on the podcast. Renee, I love you. You're one of the first guys I really hook up with. Monica Richardson, she's the best. She's the godmother. She's the godmother of all this stuff. Even, look, Michelle and Mark over there at the Free Model, they always did a great job. They've been around forever. Even Spiel, Stanton Peel, and Zach over there at Life Process, they all do. Tara, Saxton Space, all these people are doing, they're doing all, they're doing great work. Tara with harm reduction, Saxon Space, he's crazy. He puts it, even sobriety bestie. Uh, she's doing a heck of a job. She's killing it, man. She's like putting out podcasts one after another. Hope she comes on the podcast one day, but she's doing one heck of a job. As a Kristen, I gotta get her link down there. Sobriety bestie on YouTube. She's everywhere too. But that's about it. You go from 1939, 17 years later, and then 91 years later, no changes. It's one solution, one way. Give your will and your life over to the care of God. God will take it away. Hey, stay tuned for step 5. Wait till you hear that.